That's the only way they can get from town to town. And I said, I'm asking her, I said, don't you frickin' freak out? She goes, every time I get in the Jeep, I freak out.
Jill Baltashitis from New Ulm, the probation officer on Kodiak Island.
Oh, really?
We stayed with her.
Good afternoon. It's 4:30 PM on Tuesday, February 15th, 2022. We'll call the City Council meeting of the City of New Ulm to order. Item number 1.1, consent agenda. Councilors, what are your wishes?
I'll offer a motion to approve those.
Second.
You have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? Those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion is carried. Item number 2.1, reports from councilors. Les, welcome back. We'll have you start.
Thank you. I just have one, I've been representing the chamber because we gave the chamber money for many, many years, and we haven't for the last couple of years, so I'm no longer on that board. That's a change. Other than that, that's all I have this time. I miss that. The chamber's a fun board.
It was an early meeting, though.
My report is short and sweet. Heritage Preservation did not meet, and Park and Rec did not meet.
I'm going to mention that Andrea and myself went to Elected Officials Institute in Plymouth in the Twin Cities Friday, all day Friday and Saturday morning. It was really good. For both of us me newer than her. Today's my eighth month mayor anniversary, by the way. And that was really good. Learned a lot from there. I always admired Red Wachowski for 24 years of being New Ulm's mayor. I sat by a man who's still, after 43 years, the mayor of his town.
Which is?
Independence, the westernmost place in Hennepin County, he said.
Okay.
And then I'm on the city liaison to the CVB, and I'm really impressed with how well their lodging tax is doing. It's almost up to where it was when I was on board at 2014. Rates have been raised, the lodging room rates have been raised in Aaron Lafferty from the Best Western's estimate, about 10 to 15%. But nevertheless, they're still doing well, so it speaks good to tourism in New Ulm.
Thank you. I have no updates. Anyone else?
I've got nothing.
Brown County Solid Waste met last night. They're still in the process of possibly getting a grant in March. They plan to do a lot of education for battery recycling. I guess that's a big problem at the solid waste at the dump. So they're going to start trying to find ways to educate, if it's in the newspaper or KNUJ, but teach the town how to properly get rid of their batteries. It's interesting.
Yes, interesting, important stuff. Thank you. Item number 3.1, new business, attendance at the 2022 NLC Congressional City Conference.
Go ahead. Motion to approve the city manager to attend the annual 2022 National League of Cities Congressional City Conference in Washington, D.C. from March 12th through 16th, 2022.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any additional discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion is carried. Item number 3.2, ordinance number 2022-049, fifth series, first consideration for zoning.
Councilors, just wanted to bring to your attention one of the major changes from when you originally got it to this first consideration would be we included the recommendation from Councilor Christian to include professional trades to the I-3 zoning district.
Councilor Christian, I know this was something that you really dug through and had some questions on. Do you have any comments?
Actually, our planning department, John and Dave, they've done an excellent job. Me up there bugging them at City Hall. I was there before the meeting. No, they've answered all my questions and move forward.
Thank you. Do we need a motion to accept this first consideration?
Usually do, just for the record. Then we know it was done, I guess.
Motion to conduct first considerization of ordinance number 2022-049, fifth series, deleting Chapter 9 of the City Code, City of New Ulm, adopting Appendix A relative to zoning in said city.
Second.
We do have a motion and a second. Any additional discussion? Those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion is carried. Item number 3.3, Deer Control Program Summary.
Council President, councilors, before you have the deer control program summary. This year, sightings were down, but still consistent with roughly, right under 10%. Last year, we were able to get 81 deer in total. This year, 51, but we were also down 200 sightings. I think we should still continue with the program. I think it helps keep down the deer population. And, DNR is pretty much on board with us doing this program. Every year we meet with them. They want us to continue to help thin out the herds.
Do we know why? Any possible reason the sightings and the number of deer taken were lower? Is there?
Not that I'm aware of. I mean, it was still the same number of stands, and we actually had one more participant this year than last year. It was just not a lot of sightings. Not a lot of sightings this year.
Because maybe it's a good thing if there really is a lower population, but I have a feeling it's probably not.
No, I still see them a lot.
People that live up in that area.
A question I have for the city manager, maybe we can't do anything about it. Hunter qualifies. There's nothing says how many times he has to occupy that stand, is there?
No.
If he goes out twice throughout the whole year, he's not going to see any deer, he's not going to shoot any deer.
And that's something we can look into. Maybe you have to go at least 3 times.
But I do know that some complaint was, well, this guy, it's his weekend, he's not hunting again,
Okay.
and I can't go.
Okay.
I was just curious on that.
There's sometimes people that I've heard that live in the metro that'll come down and qualify for this program and then maybe come once or twice. Versus if it would have been a local person who might have been out there a lot more often, might have taken more deer. And I know in the last, I brought up several times, it's like, why can't we have either just eliminate the 2 does for a buck campaign and just leave it open, let them take as many deer as they want. And I did read in the paper, several cities in Minnesota that did allow that this last year. Now, there was, my understanding with Officer Hoens, he said that at that time, the DNR would not allow that. So they must have changed their rules to some extent, or maybe their population was so much horribly higher than ours, I don't know. But I would like us to look more seriously into that for the next year. Because we've talked about sharpshooters at some point, we've talked about our numbers being really high, and we're right at that chronic wasting disease, or we were like 7-8 years ago. And I'm nervous that we're gonna get back up there into that level again, and then we're gonna have a mess on our hands.
I'd like to add, I met with one constituent in my ward that there used to be a stand in his backyard. But, and I reached out to Jeff Hoensey in regards to this, and they have to send a letter out to the neighbors, and if, one happened to be a neighboring business that didn't want any hunting there, so then there's not a stand there. But, he had me out there to look, and I went up there twice actually to meet with him, and because he said it's like clockwork, they're there, and clear shot, you can get it, but because the neighbor, business doesn't want it, we can't hunt it, so it's challenges like that, But I mean, this year I had 2 hunters that reached out to me to park in front of my home to come through my yard to go down to their stands in the backyard. The one got his deer, he never came back for the season. The other one, he got 3 deer, and he was there almost all day, every day, because he was laid off from October to the end of the year.
Sure.
And he had the time and enjoys it. But,
So we would plan to continue the program and just reevaluate?
Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Because there could have been a number of factors, even with COVID and weather. People might have been quarantined this year, so to really kind of use this even still during this time as a benchmark for what we think is going to occur in the future could be a little premature, but I'd be curious to see how this program fares next year.
And I would just mention, Jeff Hoensey really does a good job of monitoring the stands and moving them if there's not a lot of activity at them throughout the city. So, good asset for.
Absolutely, he's very passionate about it, does a nice job.
And motion to accept the 2021 summary and reauthorize the 2022 special archery hunt deer control program.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion is carried. Item number 3.4, New Ulm Police Department policies. Chief?
City Council President, members of the council, Dave Borkert, Police Chief for the City of New Ulm. In front of you, you'll have the policies that we're recommending approval. Just to kind of give you a little bit of an overview, we're making headways here. We have approximately 85 have been reviewed and approved so far, and we have, that would include these if these are approved. We have approximately 30 left after that, so I plan on 2 more meetings. I think it's nice to have them broke up a little bit. I remember that first time, that was kind of painful. There was over 40 policies, and I know many of you read every page of that. That's a lot of reading. But in front of you, you've got some policies here. As far as the priority, every policy is important because we have a policy on it. There's a need to have a policy. But these aren't like the Big Ten from the Post Board, the Peace Officer Standard and Training Board that require as far as mandated policies. You're not seeing any use of force or defensive tactics policies here. But again, they're important. If there's any questions, comments, observations, I'm certainly here to answer any concerns that you have. Just a sideline, and that's mentioned in the request for council action. This has been forwarded to the city attorney's office, and Assistant City Attorney Roger Hippard has reviewed it and gotten back to us, so.
I thought it was very detailed and thorough, so I'm going to go ahead and offer a motion to approve the updated New Ulm Police Department policies, which provides a framework and guidance for the New Ulm police officers while they're employed by the city of New Ulm.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any more discussion?
Just nice job on it.
Yeah.
I do have one question, just curiosity. With all the turmoil going on in the police world nowadays, Dave, you think like the federal government or state may come in and just say, here, we pick out subdivision 3, this is what the U.S. will use? Do you hear anything about that or not?
I think
I
we're
know
going,
it's-
I think that's a good comment, good question. I think we're going in that direction. As in, the policies are meant to be fluid. They're meant, to change. Every year, I'm probably going to be coming in front of you, not with 100 of them, but probably with 3, 4 policies that'll need changes. The Post Board's very active on it. The state legislator, when they were running through sessions, what they agreed on is using the Post Board more with, as far as policies, as far as the Police Reform Act. So what that kind of boils down to is I think we're going to see constant changes. Whenever something happens in the media, something controversial in some department that we have no control of, I think that the Post Board is going to be a lot more active on that than what we saw 3, 4 years ago.
All right.
That'll be the trend.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. We still have a motion and a second. Any additional discussion? Those in favor signal by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? That motion is carried. Item number 3.5, tax exempt general obligation permanent improvement revolving fund bonds, Series 2022.
Counselors, this is something we do every year because we bond so much later in the year than when the projects actually start. This allows us to use those bond funds when we get them in the fall to reimburse ourselves for expenses we've already incurred.
I'll offer the resolution, waive the reading to declare the official intent of the City of New Ulm to reimburse utility, street, alley, and other capital expenditures with proceeds of the tax-exempt general obligation permanent improvement revolving funds bonds Series 2022.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any additional discussion? Director Jorgensen, please call the roll.
Counselor Mack,
Yes.
Counselor Warmka,
Yes.
Counselor Christian,
Yes.
Counselor Schultz, and President Becker.
Yes, that motion is carried. Item number 3.6, 2021 year-end transfers and encumbrances.
Counselors, as part of the year-end process, we always bring these to you each year. It's usually for purchase orders or expenses that were intended to be incurred in the previous year's budget, but for whatever reason, those projects were not completed, or the purchase orders, the items were not received. There's also, it includes the transfers that were budgeted between some of the different funds. And then this year also includes some transfers to help cover all the expenses within the Park and Rec for the Renew projects.
I don't have any questions, so I'll offer a resolution, waive the reading, approving the recommended 2021 year-end transfers and encumbrances.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any additional discussion?
Yes, I wanted to talk just real briefly on the administration department, item A.
Do you know what page that's on?
Excuse me?
What page?
I am on page, there is no page number.
Oh, there we go.
Let's see, it's item number 5. And it's the two categories in the last in that section. So it's on that next page there. There's the 9,458 and the 30,000. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because I'm a little nervous about where it says the funds will be used if they're needed, and I'm on these two, find it? Way
Or
in the
on the
more in the
30,000?
beginning.
Is that the one you're asking about?
Do you find it, Nicole? Okay.
Page number, Nicole.
Page
Well,
number
I
on?
don't have the whole agenda.
Yeah.
Gotcha, page 4.
See there.
Would have been under administration. You're not administration. This would be the first one.
The general
Gotcha.
supplement.
These two.
Okay.
You're asking about both of them?
Yep.
The travel and conferences, we actually reduced that budget for the 2022 year.
Yeah, that was one of my
Yep,
questions.
so
Okay.
this will help bring that back up, especially now in light of, it seems like more of the travel costs are coming in a little bit higher than what we anticipated. And then the DC conference wasn't originally budgeted for, so that would be
Yeah,
an addition in
and-
there as well.
Partially, that'll also cover Heather's training that she's going through as well for the economic development stuff. She's taken a lot of classes that we didn't account for when we did budget, so that helps offset some of that. And then this will include also an additional training that John Nisley will be taking to be a certified planner as well.
Okay, thank you on that one. Can you just talk about the $30,000 one a little bit?
Chris and I talked about the 30,000. This account is used for Christmas decorations mainly is the biggest expense in this account. We did not use most of that in 2021. I think we we budgeted quite a bit in there for the Bolton and Mink study that we did not use. This
The
just
Christmas
gives us
decorations for,
downtown,
excuse me,
for downtown.
for downtown. Okay. Okay.
So this just gives us the room for, as they,
Wasn't in our budget for next year for Christmas decorations downtown, so now we'll have 40,000
Yeah, so if we
that we
wanted to.
could spend.
Yeah, so if we wanted to do something, whether it's German Park, Herman Park, downtown, stuff like that, we'll
I
have
just want to make sure I
a little bit of
understood
funding.
those two. That was the only two I had questions on. Thank you.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any additional discussion? Director Jorgensen, please call the roll.
Counselor Mack,
Yes.
Counselor Christian,
Yes.
Counselor Schultz.
Yes.
Counselor Warmka,
Yes.
and President Becker.
Yes, that motion carries. Item number 3.6, 2021. Oh, sorry, 3.7, 2022 Utility Street and Alley Improvements Group 1 project.
Madam President, City Councilors, this is just next step in the delivery of the 2022 Utility Street and Alley Improvement Project. We are asking you to approve the plans and specs and set the bid date.
I'll offer the resolution, waive the reading, approving the plans and specs, ordering advertisement for bids, set bid opening date, authorize staff to receive and open the bids for the 2022 Utility Street and Alley Improvements Group 1 project at 10 a.m. on Wednesday, March 23rd, 2022, right here at the City Hall chambers.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any additional discussion? Director Jorgensen, please call the roll.
Counselor Mack,
Yes.
Counselor Christian.
Yes.
Counselor Schultz.
Yes.
Counselor Warmka. And President Becker.
Yes, motion carries. Item number 3.8, 2022 MSAS Improvement Project.
Madam President, City Councilors, same action item, but this one's for the 2022 MSAS Improvement Project. As a reminder, that is 20th North Street and Front Street, that project.
I'll offer the resolution, waive the reading, approving plans and specifications, ordering advertisements for bids, set bid opening date, and authorize staff to receive the opening bids for the 2022 MSAS project at 10:30 Wednesday, March 23rd, 2022, at the City Hall Chamber, or Council Chambers.
Second.
We do have a motion and a second. Any additional discussion? Director Jorgensen, please call the roll.
Counselor Mack?
Yes.
Counselor Christian?
Yes.
Counselor Schultz?
Yes.
Counselor Warmka?
Yes.
And President Becker?
Yes, that motion is carried. With no additional business, this meeting is adjourned. We'll be moving into a work session shortly.
Gavel hit right at 4.
Materials, Joe, all those bids.